Hey there everybody, the purpose of this video is to get us some solutions to this here homework about proportions and conversions and things like that. So the first one I said you have 3/7 equals question mark over 100, and my first question was just to rewrite that as many different ways as possible. In class we learned a few moves with proportions. One thing you could do is invert both fractions, and that still makes a true proportion. It looks different, but since you invert this fraction and this fraction the same way, the truth of the mathematical statement is maintained. Some of you liked the rationale that if you keep the diagonals the same, the proportion itself is still true. So since 3 and 100 are on the same diagonal here and here, and 7 and question mark are here and here, that's completely legit. Going with that diagonal methodology, you can also swap out the diagonals. So question mark over 3 is going to be the same thing as 100 over 7. That's totally fine too. You could also invert this one so that you have excuse me, 3 over question mark is 7 over 100. Any of those are totally fine. There's many other ones you can find. We did a bunch of these in class. There's really no need to do tons of them. But there you go. There you go. The second one, it says find the value of the question mark. So now the question is, which one of these do you want to use? And honestly, it really doesn't matter which one you use, whatever one is most comfortable to you. We'll just go back to the original one. You know, so once again, and again, depending on how you want to solve this, figuring out what you have to multiply 7 by to get to 100, and then do that exact same thing to 3. So knowing to multiply 7 to get to 100, here's one way you can think about it. You have to multiply it by 100 over 7. Because 7 times 100 over 7 is going to equal 100. So you'd also have to multiply 3 times 100 over 7. So you're going to have 307ths, which I cannot do in my head. I can approximate it. It's about 42, but I'm going to go ahead and give you more precision. It is going to be 43 almost. 42. I don't know what I told you to round to. A whole number. So 43. So your question mark is going to be 43, which means that 3/7 is the same as 43%. 43%. There you go. The rest of these are just conversions, which use proportions I mean, well, you can use proportions to solve them. So we'll go ahead and do that. If you run a 5K, that means 5 kilometer road race, how many miles have you run round to the nearest tenth of a mile? For this one, however you did it is fine. We talked about it in class. I don't know why I put a W next to that. There's no need for that. We talked about it in class. We talked that a 5 kilometer road race is a 3.1 mile race. So there's no work to be shown. We just wanted to remember that number. If you travel 2.3 miles, how many feet have you gone? Okay, so this one is going to require a little bit of conversion. We're going 2.3 miles. Now, for this one, we don't know how many feet. But we do know that 1 mile is 5,280 feet. Now, we might not know that off the top of our head, but you got to remember, you are carrying in your pocket infinite information like this, so you can look it up. So 1 mile is 5,280 feet. So to figure out how many feet 2.3 miles is, all we got to do is figure out, you know, times 2.3 times 2.3. So you're going to have, I don't know, 12,000, 13,000. Let's do it. You're going to have 2.3 times 5280. 2.3 times 5280. 12,144 feet. There you go. That's how far you're going to go if you go 2.3 miles. Alright, so that's number 4, it looks like. And number 5 is something similar. Yeah, we just done a problem actually in Math 105 about a loaded down semi, which weighs 80,000 pounds. So if you got 80,000 pounds fully loaded down, what is that in tons? Because generally speaking, they talk about those things in tons. Okay, so you got 80,000 pounds is how many tons? And again, this requires a little bit of online research. 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. So all you got to do is figure out how to get from 2,000 to 80,000. And I believe, if I'm doing the math right, that's times 40. Yeah, 3 zeros, 4 zeros, times 40. So that means 1 ton times 40 is going to be 40 tons. So there you go. There you go, 40 tons. So fairly straightforward as far as that goes. You may be finding other ways to solve these besides the way I'm doing it, and that's totally fine. Just make sure that whatever you're doing makes sense to you. And it's not, so many times I talk to students doing these kinds of problems, and they say things like, oh, I think I have to multiply. Wait, divide. No, wait, add. Whatever you're doing should be clear as to what you're doing. The reason I always default back to these proportions is because we do the same thing every time, so that way there's never any confusion as to what's being done. I have no problem with you finding shortcuts as long as those shortcuts make sense to you. All right, we'll see you in class.